Tuesday, June 11, Identifying the Beast, Part 1. Read Revelation chapter 13, verses 1 and 2. Where does this beast rise from, and who gives it authority? Revelation 13, beginning at verse 1. The dragon stood on the shore of the sea, and I saw a beast coming out of the sea, and it had 10 horns and 7 heads, with 10 crowns on its horns, and on each head a blasphemous name. The beast I saw resembled a leopard, but had feet like those of a bear and a mouth like that of a lion. The dragon gave the beast his power and his throne and great authority. The book of Revelation identifies the dragon primarily as Satan. Revelation 12, 3-5 says the dragon attempted to destroy, as soon as it was born, the male child who was later caught up to God and his throne. Revelation 12, beginning at verse 3. Then another sign appeared in heaven, an enormous red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns on its heads. Its tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to the earth. The dragon stood in front of the woman who was about to give birth, so that it might devour her child the moment he was born. She gave birth to a son, a male child, who will rule all the nations with an iron scepter, and her child was snatched up to God and to his throne. It was the devil working through pagan Rome who tried to destroy Christ, as we see in Matthew 2, 16-18. When Herod realized that he had been outwitted by the Magi, he was furious, and he gave orders to kill all the boys in Bethlehem and its vicinity who were 2 years old and under, in accordance with the time he had learned from the Magi. Then what was said through the prophet Jeremiah was fulfilled. A voice is heard in Ramah, weeping and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children and refusing to be comforted because they are no more. The archenemy of God and humanity works through political and religious institutions to accomplish his purposes. About this beast power we're told in Revelation 13:2, the dragon gave him his power, his throne, and great authority. This prophecy was precisely fulfilled hundreds of years later when the Roman Emperor Constantine moved his capital from Rome to what came to be called Constantinople in modern-day Turkey. This left a power vacuum at the former throne or seat of the Caesars, the imperial city of Rome. Thus, pagan Rome gave the beast its seat or capital city. Isaac Bacchus stated in The Infinite Importance of the Obedience of Faith and the Separation from the World, page 16, quoted in Leroy Edwin Froome's The Prophetic Faith of Our Fathers, volume 3, page 213, by removing the seat of the empire to Constantinople, Constantine made way for the Bishop of Rome to exalt himself above all men upon earth and above the God of heaven." End of quote. According to Thomas Hobbes, the papacy is no other than the ghost of the deceased Roman Empire, sitting crowned upon the grave thereof. End of quote. And that comes from his book Leviathan, page 386. A careful analysis reveals that the sea beast of Revelation 13 is an apostate religious power that rises out of Rome and becomes a worldwide system of worship, as we read in Revelation 13, verses 3 and 4. One of the heads of the beast seemed to have had a fatal wound, but the fatal wound had been healed. The whole world was filled with wonder and followed the beast. People worshipped the dragon because he had given authority to the beast, and they also worshipped the beast and asked, "Who is like the beast? Who can wage war against it?" This beast is not a person. It is a religious organization that has substituted the truth of God's word for human decrees. Read Revelation 13, verses 1 and 6. What key word is used to identify the beast power? Revelation 13:1. The dragon stood on the shore of the sea. I saw a beast coming out of the sea. It had 10 horns and 7 heads, with 10 crowns on its horns, and on each head a blasphemous name. And verse 6. It opened its mouth to blaspheme God and to slander his name and his dwelling place and those who live in heaven. The Bible defines blasphemy in John 10:33 and Luke 51 with 2 examples. 1, a man pretending to be or claiming to be God, and 2, a man claiming the power to forgive sins. Let's check those verses. John 10:33. We are not stoning you for any good work, they replied, but for blasphemy, because you, a mere man, claim to be God. And Luke 5:21. The Pharisees and the teachers of the law began thinking to themselves, who is this fellow who speaks blasphemy? Who can forgive sins but God alone? These accusations against Jesus were unjust because he is truly God and therefore has the right to forgive sins. The Roman papacy has 2 distinctive doctrines that the Bible calls blasphemy. It claims that its priests have the power to forgive sins and that the Pope has the prerogatives of God on earth. This lesson was read by Dr. Percy Harrold for Christian Services for the Blind. Sponsored by the Sabbath School Department and distributed through Hope Channel Australia, this podcast is also redistributed by Hope Channel Germany, Christian Record Services for the Blind. It is also available on SoundCloud and through multiple podcast distributors, including Apple iTunes. And you can listen and watch at the same time on YouTube. Remember, God is always faithful.